Turn on the news and you'll hear the same words over and over. Record market, strong economy, healthy consumer. Then you drive to the store. The pharmacy on the corner, there 30 years, has paper over the windows. The food pantry line by the church is longer than last year. A recession almost never kicks the door in. It starts quiet. It starts in the places you already drive past every day. Here are 10 signs it may already be in your town. Number 10. The help wanted signs that just disappeared. You remember it. Couple years back, every window had one. Now hiring, sign-on bonus, apply inside. The hardware store, the diner, the gas station, everybody was practically begging for workers and couldn't find them. Look around now. Those signs are gone. And here's what I want you to understand, because this is the part that fools people. They didn't come down because everybody finally got hired. They came down because the jobs got pulled. The manager isn't interviewing anybody. They're just trying to get through Saturday with 2 people on the floor. The folks who track small business hiring just put out their latest numbers. Only about 29% of small business owners had a job opening they couldn't fill. That's the lowest it's been since the spring of 2020, back when half the country was shut down. When small businesses stop hiring, they don't hold a press conference about it. They just quietly stop replacing the person who quit. One worker does the job of 3. The line gets longer, and nobody announces a thing. I think about my grandkids when I read numbers like that. The first job, the summer job, the foot in the door. That's the part of the economy that's freezing up first. And the people it freezes out are the ones just trying to get started. That's where it begins, quietly. Number 9, the flight to the old beat-up cars. Drive past a new car dealership lately? Lots are packed. $60,000 trucks sitting there gathering dust. Nobody can touch them. But the little buy here, pay here lot down the road? That place is busy. Here's what's happening. Regular folks have been priced clean out of new cars and even decent used ones. So they're chasing the only thing left they can sort of afford, the older, higher mileage stuff. And because everybody's chasing the same thing, the price of those old cars is climbing. Older compact cars are up more than 12% just since December. The cheapest cars on the lot are the ones getting more expensive. Let that be the picture for a second. A working person finally gets squeezed down to the bottom shelf, and even the bottom shelf costs more than it used to. In most towns in this country, a car isn't a luxury. It's how you get to the job. When that becomes a math problem people can't solve, that's a town in trouble. And most folks driving past those lots never put it together. I almost didn't. Number 8, the card that gets declined. I mentioned it at the top. The person ahead of you at the register, the quiet decline, the second card coming out, then the third. That's not as rare as it used to be, and it's the visible edge of something bigger. The savings people built up a few years ago? Gone. Spent. So now folks are paying for ordinary life with credit cards, and the pile is enormous. Total household debt in this country just crossed $18.8 trillion. And the number that worried me most isn't the size, it's the trouble. The share of credit card debt that's seriously behind, 90 days late or worse, is sitting just over 7% and climbing. We did a whole video a while back on how American families got pushed onto borrowed money to begin with. This is what the next chapter of that story looks like. When you're putting groceries and gas on a card because the paycheck ran out before the month did, you're not buying anything. You're just renting a few more weeks before the bill comes due. And it always comes due. Number 7. So why is the Dollar General parking lot always full? Look at it next time you go by. Packed. People walking out with full carts, not greeting cards and party balloons, real carts, with frozen dinners and bread and milk and toilet paper. Now look at the fancy grocery store across town on a Saturday afternoon. Half empty. That's not a coincidence. That's a trade down, and it's happening all over the country. Middle-class families, People who used to do their big weekly shop at the regular grocery store are quietly switching to the deep discount places to make the dollar stretch. Dollar General just posted its numbers, and they tell the whole story. Sales up, more people walking through the door than the year before. On recent earnings calls, Dollar General executives have said their core customers are cutting back on everything else, and the chain is leaning harder into low-priced essentials to catch cash-strapped shoppers. When a discount chain is booming, that's not a sign people have extra money. It's a sign they've run out of it. And honestly, I find that more telling than any chart the Fed puts out. Number 6. The empty restaurant on a Friday night. Here's where the early warnings start turning into real damage you can see and feel. Drive past a casual sit-down spot, your Applebee's, your local steakhouse, the family diner, at 7 o'clock on a Friday. That parking lot should be full. More and more, it's half empty. The places still open have cut their hours, trimmed the staff, shrunk the portions, and raised the prices all at the same time. One outfit that tracks this stuff says about 9% of full-service restaurants are at real risk of closing. That's how far their sales have fallen from where they used to be. Almost 1 in 10. Eating out is the very first thing families cut when money gets tight, so the restaurant down the street is basically a thermometer for your whole town's wallet. When it starts running cold, everything else is about to. And for a lot of you watching, that Friday dinner out wasn't extravagant. It was the one little reward at the end of a long week, a booth, a meal you didn't have to cook, a face you knew behind the counter. Watching that quietly vanish from your town isn't just a business story. It's your community getting smaller. Number 5. The pharmacy that turned its lights off. This one hits people where they live, and I mean that literally. You drive up to the pharmacy you've used for years, and there's a sign on the locked door. Prescriptions transferred. New locations 8 miles away. Drive-thrus chained off. And just like that, a place that was part of your weekly routine, part of staying alive for some folks, is gone. This isn't a few unlucky stores. Rite Aid went bankrupt and shut well over 1,000. CVS and Walgreens have each closed hundreds more, and they're warning there's more coming. Whole stretches of the country are turning into what people now call pharmacy deserts, places where the nearest pharmacy is a serious drive. We covered this in the video on the states Wall Street hit hardest, Wisconsin towns, Tennessee towns, places where there was one pharmacy and then there was none, and people on fixed incomes started driving 90 minutes each way for insulin. If you saw that one, this is the same wound, spreading. For an older person managing a heart condition or diabetes, the corner pharmacy was never just a store. It was the closest thing a lot of towns had to a clinic. Watching it go dark is watching the floor get pulled out from under people's health. That's not me being dramatic. That's just what it is. Number 4. The notice on the kitchen table. Now we're into the part of this where people aren't trading down or cutting back anymore. They're falling behind on the bills you absolutely cannot fall behind on. Most of this happens behind closed doors, so you don't see it the way you see a closed store, but you catch the edges of it. The utility truck idling on a residential street, doing a shutoff at the meter. The church putting out an emergency heating assistance drive. The neighbor asking around online for a program that can help. And the numbers underneath it are hard to sit with. Household utility debt in this country has climbed to about $23 billion. 21 million households, roughly 1 in 6, are behind on their electric, gas, or water bill right now. Shutoffs are on pace to hit around 4 million this year. Here's why that matters more than almost any other number on this list. People pay the power bill. It's sacred. You skip a lot of things before you let the lights go off. So when 1 in 6 households can't manage it anymore, That tells you they've already burned through the savings, maxed the cards, cut everything they could cut, and they're still short. The light staying on used to be the one thing a careful person could count on. For millions of households, that's no longer true. Remember at the start I said a recession starts quiet? This is what quiet looks like. It looks like a red envelope on a kitchen table that nobody else ever sees. Number 3, the line at the food pantry. I want to tell you about something you can see from the road, because it stopped me the first time I really looked at it. Cars, lined up, wrapped around a church parking lot or a school lot, engines idling, waiting for a food box. And here's the part that took me a minute to wrap my head around. Look at the cars. They're not what you'd picture. They're minivans, late model sedans, ordinary middle-class vehicles driven by people who have jobs, working families, veterans, retirees who paid into the system their whole lives. The food banks themselves are sounding the alarm. In some parts of the country, the share of people who can't reliably afford food is sliding from 1 in 7 to 1 in 6. And nationwide, nearly 7 million seniors are now what they call food insecure. 7 million older Americans not sure they'll have enough to eat. A breadline is about the oldest economic warning sign there is in this country. Our grandparents knew exactly what it meant. And the fact that the line now includes people who worked full-time their whole lives and people living on the Social Security they earned, that tells you the bottom layer of this thing is cracking. I'm not going to dress that up with a clever ending. It's just hard. It should be. Number 2, the medicine left on the counter. For folks over 60, this is the fear that sits closest to the bone. And it's playing out at pharmacy counters all over the country right now. It looks like this: an older person at the counter, going through the bag and quietly handing one of the prescriptions back. Not today. Can't do it this month. The out-of-pocket cost is just too much. Or it's the insurance renewal letter that shows up with a number on it that takes your breath away. More money for less coverage. A big survey of people who buy their own health insurance just came out, and the findings are brutal. More than half say they're cutting back on food and basic household items just to keep their coverage. For folks managing a chronic illness, it's higher still, better than 6 in 10. Half of them say their costs jumped a lot this year. Sit with what that actually means. People are choosing between groceries and medicine, between eating and not getting sicker. Healthcare is the one thing people normally protect above everything else. And when households start rationing it, when they start handing pills back over the counter to keep the lights on, you are looking at families in pure survival mode. Here's what I think this means for someone on a fixed income. The math has stopped working, and they're being forced to gamble with their own health to balance a budget that simply doesn't balance anymore. Number 1, financing the groceries. This is the one. If you take nothing else from this whole video, take this, because it's the clearest picture I've found of where things really are. You've seen those little payment options at checkout. Buy now, pay later. Split it into 4. Pay over 6 weeks. For a long time, that was for the big stuff. A TV, a couch, a pair of sneakers, something that lasts. Now people are using it to buy food. Almost a third of the folks using these pay later plans, 29%, are using them on groceries. And the climb is what gets me. It was 14% 2 years ago, 25% last year, 29% now. It's going one direction, fast. Nearly half of everybody using these plans, 47%, has paid one back late in the past year. And more than half, 54%, flat out say they need these loans just to make it to the end of the month. I want you to really picture what that is. Somebody is standing at the grocery store and they're splitting a $60 bill, eggs, milk, bread, a little medicine, into 4 payments. Think about the timeline there. The food gets eaten in a few days, but the debt? The debt hangs around for 6 weeks, so they're still paying off last month's groceries while they're already buying this month's. They're financing food that's already gone. Eating today on a paycheck that hasn't come in yet. That's not a tech trend. That's not young people being careless with an app. That is the cash running out before the week does, dressed up in a friendly little payment screen. For a generation that was raised to save up first and pay cash for what you eat, financing a carton of eggs should feel almost impossible. The fact that it's now normal and growing every single year, that, to me, is the whole story. That's the recession nobody's official enough to call yet, showing up in a grocery cart. So that's 10. And I want to leave you with something honest, because I'm not interested in just scaring you. A recession isn't only a number on a screen that some committee announces months after the fact. Long before that, it's something you live. It shows up in smaller portions and shorter hours, in longer lines and locked pharmacy doors, in a bill that's a little too big to pay, and an app that lets you put off the reckoning for 6 more weeks. If your town feels different than it used to, quieter, thinner, a little harder, you are not imagining it. You're not being negative, you're paying attention. Because by the time somebody in a suit finally gives this thing a name, people in towns like yours have already been living through it for a good long while. So let me turn it over to you, because this is the part I look forward to most. Which of these have you been seeing where you live? The empty restaurant, the closed pharmacy, the food pantry line, the card declined at the register? Drop it in the comments below. I read every single one, and the things you all describe from your own towns tell me more about this economy than any report I get to read all week. And if this gave you a clearer way to read what's happening around you, subscribe. It helps these videos reach more people who are seeing the same thing in their own towns. This is EconoNova. Keep an eye on the price of milk.